In the words of George Orwell, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. This paradoxical statement reflects the complexities of peace and conflict that pervade our contemporary global political climate. As we navigate through the intricacies of international relations, we often find ourselves in a landscape where peace is not always as it seems. On the surface, it may appear that we are living in an era of tranquility, ushered in by the declarations of our world leaders. For instance, President Biden's proclamation of the end of war was a momentous event, a beacon of hope illuminating a path towards a more peaceful world. However, the reality is far more complex than what meets the eye. While one war may have ended, others are still raging on, hidden in the shadows of public consciousness. Conflicts continue to simmer beneath the surface, escalating tensions and threatening to disrupt the fragile veneer of peace. From the deserts of the Middle East to the icy tundras of the Arctic, from the bustling cities of Asia to the serene landscapes of Africa, the echoes of war continue to reverberate around the globe. The paradox of peace lies in its elusive nature. It's a delicate balance, a state of equilibrium that can be disrupted with a single spark. Despite our best efforts, peace remains a fleeting ideal, constantly threatened by the specter of conflict. The irony is that while we strive for peace, we are often ensnared in the web of war. We are caught in a cycle of conflict and resolution, a perpetual dance of power and diplomacy, where peace is often just a temporary respite before the next conflict arises. This is the paradox we must grapple with as we strive to understand the complex dynamics of peace and conflict. It's a reminder that peace is not merely the absence of war, but a state of harmony that we must continually work towards. The end of one war does not signify the end of all wars. It is a sobering reminder of the enduring nature of conflict and the constant effort required to maintain peace. As we speak, the drums of war are still beating in various corners of the world. The echoes of conflict are not distant memories of the past, but rather stark realities of the present. Even as we enjoy the comforts of peace in some regions, the harsh truth is that there are places on this planet where war remains a daily reality. Consider the numerous ongoing conflicts. In the Middle East, tension continues to simmer, occasionally boiling over into full-blown conflict. Africa, too, is a patchwork of nations grappling with civil unrest. In parts of Asia, territorial disputes have led to skirmishes that threaten to escalate into larger conflicts. These wars and conflicts aren't just about bullets and bombs, they're also about power, resources, and influence. They shape our world, affecting everything from the global political landscape to economic trends. Think about it. Every conflict has ripple effects that extend far beyond the battlefield. They can disrupt trade routes, drive up global commodity prices, and create waves of refugees that put pressure on neighboring countries. The aftermath of war can linger for years, even decades, in the form of political instability and economic hardship. And what about the human cost? The lives lost, the communities destroyed, the children robbed of their childhood. These are the heart-wrenching realities of war, often overshadowed by discussions of strategy and politics. Yet amidst the grim reality, there is also resilience. People living in war zones continue to persevere, to hope, and to dream of a better future. Their stories remind us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit remains unbroken. But let's not romanticize war. It's not a narrative of heroes and villains, but a complex tapestry woven from countless individual stories, and the threads of this tapestry are often stained with blood and tears. War, it seems, is a constant in the human condition. Its reality is as multifaceted and complex as the human beings caught in its grip. And as we continue to explore this topic, we will delve deeper into the politics, economics, and human costs of war. Behind every war, there is a game of politics. That's a statement that holds a lot of weight and truth. Wars are not just about battles fought on the front line, they're also about the strategies and maneuvers conducted behind closed doors. Many times, political leaders use war as a tool to advance their agendas. It can be a way to rally support, distract from internal issues, or assert dominance on the global stage. This is not a recent phenomenon. It has been a part of human history for centuries. Take, for instance, the wars of the 20th century. World War I and II were not just about territorial disputes or ideological differences. They were also about political power, alliances, and ambitions. Leaders use these wars to consolidate their power, gain control over resources, and shape the world order according to their visions. In more recent times, the war on terror launched by the United States after the September 11 attacks was not just a response to terrorism, it was also about asserting American dominance, protecting American interests, and spreading American values. The war was sold to the public as a noble cause, but many critics argue that it was a politically motivated campaign with far-reaching consequences. This is not to say that all wars are unjust or politically motivated. There are times when military action is necessary to protect national security or defend human rights. But more often than not, wars come with political motivations and implications that are not always transparent or fair to the common people. The citizens who are sent to fight and those who are caught in the crossfire often pay the highest price. They bear the brunt of the decisions made by their leaders, while those in power rarely face the same level of risk or responsibility. This brings us to a sobering reality. As the Greek playwright Aeschylus once said, "In war, truth is often the first casualty." The politics of war can cloud the truth, manipulate narratives, and justify actions that would otherwise be unacceptable. So it is crucial to question, to analyze, and to seek the truth behind the politics of war. War is not just a political tool, it is an economic one too. A profound statement, yet it's an aspect of conflict often overlooked. When nations clash, the ripple effects extend beyond the battlefield and into the world economy. Let's delve into the economic consequences of war. They are double-edged, capable of both destruction and growth. During times of conflict, economies can collapse under the strain of military expenditure and the destruction of infrastructure. For instance, World War II led to economic devastation for many European nations, while the prolonged conflict in the Middle East has hampered economic development for decades. However, war can also trigger economic booms. The need for weapons, vehicles, and other military supplies can stimulate industries. During World War II, the United States, far removed from the front lines of battle, saw an industrial boom as they supplied the Allies with much-needed military equipment. This boom pulled the nation out of the Great Depression and propelled it to become a global superpower. Yet the economic impact of war is not confined to the warring nations. Global trade and commerce feel the ripples too. War can disrupt trade routes, causing prices to skyrocket and supply chains to crumble. On the flip side, it can also open new markets as countries seek alternative sources for goods and services. The economic landscape after a war is often significantly different from the pre-war scenario. New economic powers can emerge, old ones may falter, and global trade patterns can shift dramatically. However, it is essential to remember that the economic benefits of war are often short-lived and come at a devastating human cost. The resources spent on war could have been used for education, healthcare, and other social services that directly benefit the population. So while war can stimulate economic activity, it's not a sustainable or ethical route to prosperity. The aftermath of war often leaves nations grappling with debt, reconstruction, and societal upheaval. War, in the end, is a costly business. It's a high-stakes gamble where the house always wins and the players, more often than not, lose more than they can afford. Beyond the politics and economics, war has a human face. It's a face etched with deep lines of suffering, marked by loss and haunted by the specter of violence that has no regard for the sanctity of life. Consider the sheer scale of human loss. In the last 100 years, wars have claimed millions of lives. And that's not just soldiers on the battlefield. It's also the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire, the children who are robbed of their childhood, the families torn apart. Each life lost is a story cut short, a potential unfulfilled, a world destroyed. Then there's the displacement. War uproots people from their homes, forcing them to leave behind everything they know and love. Millions have had to flee, becoming refugees in foreign lands, their lives in limbo. The trauma of displacement is a heavy burden, one that can last a lifetime and even pass down to the next generation. And let's not forget the mental scars war leaves behind. The trauma of war doesn't end when the fighting stops. It lingers in the minds of those who have lived through it, leading to an increase in mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The cost of war is not just measured in economic terms or political gains and losses, it's counted in the lives lost, the communities destroyed, the generations traumatized. It's seen in the eyes of a child who has known nothing but war, in the tears of a mother who has lost her child, in the despair of a refugee who can't return home. In the end, it is the common people who pay the price of war. They bear the brunt of decisions made by those in power, their lives forever altered by the devastation of conflict. As we move forward, let us remember the human cost of war and strive to build a world where peace is more than just a fleeting dream. In the face of the grim reality of war, there is a growing call for global peace. At this critical juncture in our history, the clamor for a world free from the shackles of conflict has never been louder, more urgent, or more necessary. In every corner of the globe, initiatives aimed at promoting peace are springing forth. Governments, organizations, and individuals alike are recognizing that the path to peace does not lie through the barrel of a gun, but through dialogue, diplomacy, and understanding. Consider the peace treaties signed, the ceasefire agreements reached, the diplomatic talks held. These are not mere political maneuvers. They are testament to the power of negotiation over aggression, of conversation over confrontation. They are the seeds of peace planted in the fertile ground of mutual respect and understanding. But peace doesn't just start on the negotiation table. It starts with us, with you and me, with every individual's conscious decision to reject hatred, to embrace tolerance, to foster understanding. It starts with small acts of kindness, with words of love spoken instead of words of anger. It starts with the recognition that our similarities far outweigh our differences, that our shared humanity is stronger than any force that seeks to divide us. It's not an easy road, and it won't be traversed overnight, but every step taken towards peace is a step away from the ravages of war, a step towards a future where children don't have to grow up in the shadow of conflict, where families don't have to be torn apart by violence, where nations don't have to be ravaged by war. As we move forward in our collective journey towards peace, let us remember the wise words of Martin Luther King Jr., who once said, "Peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal." So let us strive not just for the destination, but for the journey itself, because it is through this journey, through every step we take towards understanding, tolerance, and love, that we will find our way to a world at peace. So, is the war really over? It's a question that echoes in the corridors of power and around kitchen tables worldwide. We've traversed the paradox of peace, delved into the harsh reality of war, explored the intricate politics and economics that fuel these conflicts, and pondered the human cost that's paid in blood and tears. In the grand tapestry of human history, we see that the end of one war often lays the foundation for another. The Treaty of Versailles, the peace accord that marked the end of the First World War, sowed the seeds for the Second. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War gave rise to new conflicts in the Balkans. The closure of one chapter in history often tends to open another, marked by fresh struggles and strife. So when we ask if the war is really over, we must consider not just the silencing of guns and the signing of peace accords, but also the underlying issues that led to the conflict. Have we addressed the political disparities that breed resentment and hostility? Have we tackled the economic inequalities that fuel desperation and violence? Have we healed the scars left on the human psyche by the horrors of war? The state of war is not just about bullets and bombs, it's about the tensions that simmer beneath the surface of our societies, waiting to erupt. It's about the systemic injustices that push people to take up arms. It's about the wounds we carry within us, passed down from generation to generation. When we talk about the end of war, we're not just talking about a ceasefire or a peace treaty. We're talking about a world where the root causes of war are addressed, where every individual is treated with dignity and respect, where justice and equality are more than just words on a page. Until we address the politics, economics, and human costs of war, the war will never truly be over. So let's strive for that world, a world where the end of war isn't just a fleeting moment between conflicts, but a lasting reality.